All right, welcome to another episode of the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast, episode 52 here, August 29th, 2021. Tyler McGurk. It is hot here. It is freaking hot. I was up in Sonoma yesterday and it was hot there too. I'm assuming you were not in a cool area as well. What have you been up to this week?
I was working where you live. It's been hot as crap. And it's bad smoke everywhere.
Oh, I know.
Rough week for the
smoke
weather.
Makes it even worse.
Makes it hard to breathe. And then you have to wear a mask on top of it. And they're just like, it's not fun. But you got to do what you got to do.
I thought like I was in Fresno this week or something. That's what it felt like.
Without the crime rates.
The constant haze of smoke. Have you ever spent any time at Fresno?
No, not really. I've driven through, but not.
I had to go. We went there for a wedding. We were there for like maybe 3 days or 4 days or something like that. And we've been there for multiple soccer tournaments when we were younger. And there used to just be this haze over Fresno. It's kind of what I remember about it. And that's what it feels like here. It's been miserable. Anything else? What do you guys do a soccer game yesterday or anything?
Yeah, Bentley had a soccer game that was canceled. So Bentley just went out and a couple of teammates didn't care about the smoke and played a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
This end of the summer thing. Have you watched any of the Little League World Series at all? There's a kid out there. He plays for South Dakota, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to get into him in just a second. Actually, I have a question with you around him that I wanted to bring up. But you were talking about soccer with Bentley, and I had to after I filled out my 38 papers of paperwork, got fingerprinted Friday at 7 a.m.
You're on the bench?
Did all the good stuff. We had like a little 20-minute practice Friday. And guess what my team colors are? I didn't even pick them. The league gave me
green and yellow.
Close, not that one. Silver and black, of course. They gave me silver and black. I didn't even ask for it. And then the kids voted. 8 kids voted. 6 to 8 are their ages. They voted Team Sonic. I suggested the Hammers. I was trying to be a throwback to your dad's team.
Oh wow!
But everybody thought that was terrible. As a 6 and 8 year olds, they did not like the Hammers. So they went with
they didn't know Sonics. Who MC Hammer was back then.
No, we didn't. So we went with
they didn't know about this. Can't touch this.
Yes. I know that was one of the classic team names of all time. So I was trying to bring it back from the dead, but it did not happen. So we are, and we're not the Supersonics. We are the Hedgehogs. So just to make that clear.
You're the blue guys.
Yeah. So we did that this week, and then Derek he did like a Tough Mudder. Have you heard of this before?
Yeah, a real one or a little kid one?
Yeah, like a kid one. It was like a mile race, but like
that's cool. Yeah,
they broke it into half miles, so you didn't do 2 laps. And they have like little obstacle courses along the way.
Yeah, what were those? What were some of those?
Obviously a Tough Mudder, you're getting muddy, so they have like little pits that you run through that kind of get you wet, and then you have like these challenges of you had to like crawl under nets and like ropes, and then some were a lot harder. We had to like climb over like, I don't know, I'd say like at least a 15-foot pyramid net, something like that, maybe even a little tired or higher. And then they had to climb over, like imagine like a beam, like about 5 feet tall. And you have to like jump over those. He couldn't really do the tall ones because he can push. He's really strong, push forward. But as you know, pulling
own weight up's hard when you're that young.
It's a lot.
Still to this day, it's hard.
Yeah, how many pull-ups do you think you could do right now? 3?
Maybe 2. Maybe.
So we did that, and then they had the really hard one at the end. And like they have on Ninja Warrior, how they have the half pipe, and you have to like run up the wall basically, and they kind of reach on.
Oh yeah. So sometimes you have to run back and then up again.
Yeah, so they had that for the kids, but they had like they had kind of a rope, and but it gets a little slipperier because the kids are on it, and he got to the set. It's the first time he did it. He was able to make it up. He got a little help from the lady there, but they're not supposed to help. And then the second time he went up, and man, he was there for, I want to say at least 15 minutes. And it was starting to get hard on him. Like he was starting, even
getting frustrated.
Yeah. And other kids were there starting, and there's a few other kids there. One kid in particular was like really helping him out, like trying to get him up there and like encouraging him and stuff. And, when you're seeing your son fail like that, it's kind of hard to watch him, and you can see the frustration. You just got to want to help him there. But at the same time, as a dad, I'm trying to be like, all right, let's see how he handles this. Like also as a coach in my mind, I'm kind of curious I kind of step away a little bit, so he doesn't kind of see me as much. And he goes to his mom and he's crying and he's frustrated. Honda does a good job. She's telling him to, get back out there. And he goes up there and tries, and again, like the kids are up there. Derek's a big kid, as we know. Their kids are up there trying to grab him on the arms. They can't get him, and so he's falling back down time and time again. And he's getting more and more tired as he's doing it. And you can see that, and it's weird. You can kind of start to see the parents around that the kids were helping, like kind of watch a little bit. And it started to turn into actually like a weird, like touching moment in a weird way. Like it was like one of those like live events where you go to and you're like, is this really happening? And the kids were kind of getting behind it and stuff. And then Derek's getting emotional about it. You know what I mean? And they finally get it up there at the end and get down. And parents, I literally have no idea who they are. They're walking by, not talking to me. I just overhear them talking to other people. Like, they're like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. That's what that's about. So it just made me think about Derek in a way of like, he's been through these struggles of cancer. Now he does this. It's almost through some of his own sufferings, because he obviously felt like crap afterwards. Like he felt embarrassed that he couldn't do it and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that feeling of failing.
Yeah.
It made me think to like, why we're sometimes, I don't know, just made me think on a deeper level why we're put on this earth at times. It's just like through or sometimes our own failures, that's when we kind of see the biggest success too. So it's kind of weird how, whether you believe in God or not, like just how those things are designed. And, obviously, I do. So I just feel like those things are happen for a reason. And it was just a really cool thing that happened yesterday, even though my son failing.
It's like a community building event almost for kids. Like they've been locked inside, not even seeing kids for so long. Like, and then just like good to see that there's still like humanity, and like kids are so innocent. They don't see like, and they come together and make things happen in like a positive way. Like that's a great story.
Yeah, it was cool. And when I say,
but hold on, you made that race seem like more of it. Was there any fun parts to it, like a slide or?
I mean, it was all like it was pretty much all horror. Tough mutters are pretty much
like
all
get stuff.
Yeah, I mean they're fun obstacles. Some of them, but some of them, like as you're running it, like some of the adult ones are like 6 to 8 miles or something. But when I say real quick, Derek was failing. What I meant by that is he wasn't able to succeed the ramp by himself. But he was able to persevere, and like instead of quitting, he at least kept
doing it.
I would have been more mad at him if he quit. That's what I want.
There's no reason for you to be mad at him at all, really. Like,
well, I mean, I would have been disappointed if he
if he did.
But that's what you look for, is the sustainability of something. That's why a lot of people like the movie Rocky. That's why I like.
It's the underdog story.
Out of him, and he kept getting it. That's the reason he liked it. So, anyways, that was kind of the coolest thing I saw yesterday, and it was hot there. After he did that at 9 a.m.
I can only imagine.
Over in Sonoma at the raceway there, actually. They had a little section there for it. That was my first time being over there too. Let me get to real quick your part, and then we'll move on to kind of the rest of our podcast. You brought up the Little League guy that you were talking about, and obviously I coached Little League for a while. Both that was kind of like good parts. We always enjoyed that part of our childhood. And I don't watch the Little League World Series nearly as much. I don't even really watch it at all. But occasionally there'll be a story that comes out, and this year they have a guy. Is he still playing? There's only 2 teams left. Their team has to be in it, right?
No, I think they lost because he pitched to beat California. And he was like a one-man wrecking crew.
Okay, and his name's Gavin Weary. He faced 132 batters. It has 114 strikeouts. It allowed 1 hit. So those
walked 6.
You texted me the other day. You're like, is this the most dominant Little Leaguer? I mean, stat wise, it's probably got to be, since they probably kept record of that stuff. That means only 18 people made contact against it.
Yeah, and people hit bombs, and he hits bombs too. He can hit. He's not like just the pitcher.
So it got me thinking, out of all your history of watching Little League World Series on TV, is there like any moments that stick out? Like, because like I said, we don't live in Philadelphia. We're not at the ballpark, like remembering every moment, but we've always probably watched some summers more than others. So like, I'm just curious if there's any that stand out to you.
The 2 biggest stories to me are Danny Almonte.
I had him.
And the Monet Davis, when the girl was dominating.
And she's now coming back, like doing the announcing for some of that stuff.
Yeah. He plays college basketball at some small school. I looked because I remember they were like, she's being recruited by Connecticut. And then like with this Gavin, I was like, I wonder whatever happened to that little Monet Davis.
Yeah, that's good that she's kind of embracing the sport. Be good for Little League baseball, and whatever. That's a good. She should stay with that part of it for sure. I think of Petaluma for sure. That little league.
Yeah,
run
that
they
was
had
cool.
when they were down like 10 in that one inning and then came back and took the lead or something crazy. They ended up losing,
then,
I think, but
yeah.
it was just a crazy game altogether. Little league game at the finest. That was kind of like, and it was a local team that was in.
And you don't see that happen in Williamsport where people can't get people out normally. Like it was like a lower level all-star game where there was this runs on runs on runs.
I do remember that Petaluma team having like a guy that was like, I want to say like 6'5", right? He was just massive on that team over there. And then that I just remember for some reason, I always remember the Japan teams back when I was a kid. Like I felt like they were always just winning everything, wasn't it? And then they had this one lefty in particular. I just remember he was a lefty hitter and then a pitcher, and he was just unreal. It was like the Babe Ruth or something, like a lefty. It was unreal. So,
I just remember about the Japan teams, the damn pitchers had those boring windups where they'd like pause for 2 seconds after taking a step. You know what I mean?
Take forever.
Yeah, like the show, you wouldn't even pick them even if they were good because they took too long to throw the ball. You'd be like, I'm not picking that pitcher for this video game. It takes too long.
I just remember them being unreal fundamentally for Little League because of like their training they get probably there. And then now that we're talking about it, I also remember this kid on the Dominican Republic team, I think, that was also like 6'6", and the rest of his kids were like tight. Remember that kid? He had like a good little run, but he was
it Curacao?
It might have been like, I just remember their uniforms being like brown or something like that, kind of like dark or something, and he just crushed him. So anyways, I thought we'd get into that a little bit after you texted me those crazy Little League stats. This is insane. 113. Was he 15? You got to check that person.
Yeah, and he had like 6 no-hitters through the whole tournament, like from start to All-Stars.
Stupid. I never saw him pitch, but my guess is he's tall too. He's probably
he's not that tall. He's probably tall for that. He's probably like 5'7", 5'8". He looks like he pitches his wind up and mechanics look just like Chris Sale.
Oh, really? He throws kind of the sidearm?
Yeah, little like 3/4 and just as nasty curveballs. He was throwing too many breaking balls for my liking at 12 years old. But
yeah, I always feel like that's all part of the reason Little League they throw way too many breaking balls. But hey, as a parent, that's your decision, coach. That's your decision there. Speaking of Chris Sale at MLB here, let's take a quick little break here and we'll get back with some MLB this week. There's a lot of good stuff that went on. All right, we're back here on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. I'd be remiss, Tyler, before we get started here, if I don't thank our previous guest, Brian Montanez, for coming on. We did a little MLB with him, touched on a little League experiences as well with him. As a fan in his case, and a little bit with his brother, and we talked about Andrew there for a little bit. So, Brian, thank you again for coming on last week. Fantastic with the views. You didn't lie. The guns made a difference. So, nice job there. And the dogs, a great performance. We just really appreciated them coming on the show.
Spectacular.
All right, so let's get into some MLB here now. It's hard for me not to start with my team, the A's. Just a horrible week, a horrible last 2 weeks, basically, starting with the Rangers series where they lose 2 out of 3. And then the way they lose to your Giants, they in some ways.
What was that? I feel like you had an adjective before that you
lost to your Giants. And the way they lost to your Giants was very disappointing. If they should have had a sweep.
Had to be heartbreaking.
And the Saturday that you came over here, they blew it in the 9th inning to Wade Summer, and then Solano.
I would have gone ballistic if I was there. I could only imagine what would have happened.
And then Solano hits the homer off puck the next day in the 8th inning with 2 outs. They take a 1-run lead, just killers. And then the next night, they blow another game to Seattle. And then the night after that, they lose the Yankees in 10. Trevino gives up another run in the top of the 10th. So just a bad week. They lose 5 games in the standings in 7 days. Not ever a good thing.
Yeah, it's never good.
I think my dad was telling me yesterday they've lost like 10 games in the standings out of like the last 12, something like crazy like that.
The A's have?
Yeah, just because the Yankees were on like a 13-game run until the A's beat them yesterday. The Red Sox have been pretty solid, and the Mariners are only like 2 games behind the A's now. So, I mean, I feel like I've said it the whole year when we've done this, but it is in baseball, it's really hard to win. I mean, it's almost impossible to win without the 3 phases, right? Pitching, you got to have all of them. But like to me, like that, the closer bullpen role is such an important one because it's such a heartbreak role to it's such a like it's such a momentum killer role that it's like you gotta close games when you get the chance, especially in August and September. You can't. I mean, Trevino's has their best stuff, but like Diekman, Romo, Petit, Puck, are any of those guys scaring you? No.
Now we had Romo and Petit for years. You got this bad end of their career. No, and none of them throw like gas or any of them are nasty where you're like, holy smokes, where did that come from? That Bugs Bunny like change up or slide. Like you don't have any guys like that. They're all like strike throwers for the most part who depend on ground balls.
Trevino is that guy, but he's not that. You know what I mean? He has like maybe the stuff. Like he throws 96, so he can throw that with a nasty changeup. But his location is not closer consistent usually. And like, you know what I mean? Like hitters are up there, like we can still hit it doesn't have that same kind of aura around that closer role. And then yesterday with Romo in, they're up 3-0 against the Yankees, and Judge with one out hits a homer. And of course it makes it a 1-run game. So if the A's literally have a 1-run lead in the ninth,
you're not confident in it.
Just not feeling good. I almost would just give the job to the rookie or the Puck and just kind of see where he goes with it in some ways. And just
he doesn't throw enough strikes though, does he?
I don't know.
He's the one guy who you can't depend on throwing strikes. From what I've seen, I don't know if he's like improved a lot, but I doubt it. I'm not.
I honestly think I would probably just stick with Romo. He's who I was thinking first, just because sometimes those guys like can get lucky, like at the end of the year's careers or something like that. And so that's who I would just go with if I.
He's closed out. He's closed out a clinching World Series victory.
Yeah.
So.
And so they're 3.5 games just behind the second wild card now. So we'll see what happens with them. Yesterday in that game though against the Yankees, I got to talk about something else. For anybody that was out there watching the game or seen other games, there's a play at third base where off a double play, they throw it over to Odor to pick off a Marte. All he has to do is tag the base, obviously, and catch it. It's a force out. And I saw a John Boy clip earlier today, and he freeze framed it. And it was like, maybe that left foot was on the bag, but it was from behind the angle, so you couldn't really see the foot. It was kind of blocking it still. So, but when you look at every other angle, it really doesn't look that close.
His foot wasn't on the bag.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just, to me, there's been a few calls where it's that, and then the A's. I remember a few years ago were involved
the home run.
Where there's been a few this year where they're just so obvious. It's like I just don't get how you get these wrong sometimes. Does that make sense? Like I don't like. Are you looking at that 1/10 of a freeze frame and judging it? Because if the nine of the other 10 are obvious, I don't know. I just don't get what we're.
It's like you're taking only the evidence that supports the call on the field, and the rest of the evidence says he's safe by a mile.
I'm just trying to protect the upset.
Yeah, was what it seems like. But sometimes they do overturn them, which is weird. Like, why'd that get overturned? That was closer than that play. Like, I understand when they miss like fencing things where like depth perception could be a little off, like because you only have that one angle coming in.
Yeah.
Like I can understand a little more. They still shouldn't miss them because they slow it down so much, and you normally can see where the ball makes impact, like on the seats or fence or whatever. But the one it's a fundamental call of a force out.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be missed, especially when you have 5 angles around the base, or like 3 at least around that base.
And then when most everybody else thinks it's obvious, I just Would you rather be on the other end of not have it? Okay, because I know. Listen, hear me out. Because I don't want it. I don't like that. I don't like the rule of like you get 2 challenge. I don't know. It's just like to me, it's so stupid. It's like either we're gonna get every call right, or let's just let the umpires be umpires out there and make mistakes. Like that's how I feel about it. Like I don't like this. Like I have 2 challenge things. Like because the play before, Marte should have been called out at third, stealing third. Odor tags him on the back, and the umpire missed the call. It was an obvious call too. It's right in front of him. He tags his back right before his hands get here. He calls him safe. But the Yankees had burned a challenge in the first inning, stupidly. And so then they call then as the innings progressing, they're getting calls from hey, he missed that. They're ripping on the umpire. And then literally a minute later, he calls out the Marte on.
So maybe it was just a makeup call.
It's just maybe, but it's still, that's not how it could be. And that same umpire in this game called a balk on the pitcher that got the A's a run from third base.
So the umpires are the star of the show.
then you should have seen it. There was like a little league move by the Yankees pitcher. He threw to first base the next inning, and immediately he threw to first and then snapped his head back at the third base umpire, like looking for a block or something. And then the umpire behind plate's like, hey, cut that crap out. Like total like little league type move, like where they just totally showing up the umpire. Because in baseball, you don't get technicals.
But so you'd like it if they got rid of replay. I don't like this that they implemented strategy in the.
I don't like that you messed up replay that bad, Tyler. That's the part I don't like. Like it's an obvious.
Yeah, but they still get more right than wrong when they like do it.
But it looks horrible when you miss these. Like it looks ridiculous.
No, yeah, it looks awful. But I'd still rather have them get it right sometimes, like when they overturn them.
I mean, I get what you're saying. Maybe I'm just reacting because yesterday's frustrating, but I just don't get how you can miss some obvious calls with the benefit of replay. To me, it doesn't make sense at all. And then that the coach can't come out and argue, that's even stupider. It's just like, oh, you can't argue because it's not our call. It's like, I don't know. It's at least if it was your call, he can argue for a little bit. Let him argue for a little bit. As long as he's not
is that why he got thrown out? Because he argued at all?
You can't argue replay.
Can't argue. Well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, because you'll see the argument. He's like, it's not my call. He's like, I understand that. He's like, but he ejected him before that. Yeah, just a little bit before it. So you just can't come out and argue. It's ridiculous.
But if he called him safe to start with, the replay would never even have happened.
Pretty much,
it was your call. Like
the third base umpire had a rough day yesterday. Let's put it that way. It was not the best game you've ever seen from. I think his name was Littlefoot, the linebacker from the Raiders. No, he was Lightfoot or something like that. All right, let's get into your team, the Giants. Right now, they're still playing well. They're beating the Braves. They just got off a good series against the Mets. Doesn't really seem to matter how, when, where. They just get the job done and win. But I was looking at the standings again this morning, and you're only 2.5 up on the Dodgers. I mean, what a race!
They don't lose. I
mean, you guys are just pushing each other to the max this year. Like both teams would be shocking if you guys don't win 100 games. Obviously, even if it's 100, I mean, it'd just be surprising. You'd have to play like below 500 ball, I think, at this point. The Dodgers maybe at 500. When you look at both teams on paper, the lineup in particular, I mean, the Dodgers lineup is it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But the Giants, to their credit, even with Yastrzemski struggling, but he'll at times get clutch hits. They're in the race. So I guess my question to you is this: since the start of the season, you've been, let's be honest, pessimistic about it. You've been saying at one point the shoe is going to drop. The 2.5 up now. Next time we do this pod, it will be the start of September. About 32 games left. What are you looking for? Can they hold
on? Can they hold on? Yeah. If I change my pick now, then
that's okay if you change it. I just want to know what you're feeling as of right now, watching the season progress. How are you feeling?
It's just been a spectacular season.
Do you think they can hold on?
Anyway, no, I don't think they will. No.
So they're 2.5.
They don't have as much talent.
But they only played the Dodgers 3 times.
Which is nice. But isn't that a weird thing to say? Oh, we're happy we're not playing that team who you're in a race with. Like, you should want to play that team so you can get separation if you feel like you're the better team. And I don't feel that way.
They're playing next weekend. One of them's on Sunday Night Baseball. I mean, they play the Padres. You guys play the Padres like 10 times this month.
Yeah, and they've been god awful, but they can get hot.
I'm kind of surprised by your answer there. I got to be honest. I thought you'd be more confident at this point that you guys could hold on.
I do think we're going to keep winning, but I don't know. There's some, I don't know.
Well, what's the key? Why are you so hesitant? I mean, they've been proving in every way. Is it the pitching still, the hitting, the bull? Like they've improved. What is it that you're worried about that they're not going to hold on?
The Dodgers are just very, very good.
So you think they'll just win more than you will win?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we're going to fall apart. We're going to, like you said, win 100 games.
Man, they'll have to play at an unreal clip. You guys have like a 2.5 game lead now.
With 32 games left, that's not that much. It's 3 days.
That is true. It is only 3 days. I'll give it to you. And you guys are playing very well.
We're playing unreal.
So you're still so as of right now, if I write it down, you're saying that no, they do not win the division.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're still sticking with that. Anything you're looking for this last month that's to stand out? Or go ahead.
To see if Logan Webb can keep up what he's done since Gosman got bad. He's just replaced Gosman's like stats. He's been absolutely ridiculous for since the All-Star break.
He's not a rookie, right?
Back from his injury. No, he was on the team last year for a little bit, but he hasn't been good. Like, I was like, this guy's our 7th starter, and now he's our ace.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this. I mean, I just love to see the Dodgers and Giants play in the postseason one time. It's like, it'd be fantastic.
It would be fun.
So
but in the Giants bullpen, I've had no faith in like the whole year, and it's actually had a great year. As far, I mean, they've blown some games, but they've bailed them out more than they've blown.
Those fastballs.
Those fastballs.
And then the submarine guy is just nasty too.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's really good. Let's take a quick little break here. We'll be back with my. I got one last thing on baseball here. All right, we're back here. One last thing here with baseball. I thought it was a big kind of. We didn't get into it last week. But I want to touch on it is I always feel like when guys hit milestones or retire in baseball, since it's my favorite sport, it always kind of means a little something to me, especially the guys that we think were clean for the most part. And Miguel Cabrera got 500 home runs this week, actually 501. But a lot of people that maybe don't know him because they do know him, but like maybe don't watch it as much because he was with Miami early on, and then he was with Florida, I guess at that point, and then he was with Detroit. Obviously 2-time MVP, 11-time All-Star. He's 40 hits from 3,000 as well. Has a career 311 batting average. Just a stud on every level. I mean, as soon as he came up that year in 03, obviously he helped the Marlins win the World Series that year, and he was just a stud. I mean, every year he's just been unreal.
If JT Snow was a little faster, we could have beat him.
Your initial thoughts on him?
Oh, he just was a stud. You couldn't shift. You could hit the ball to all fields and power to all fields.
Yeah.
Probably the strongest wrist in baseball. He was just a spectacular hitter. He wasn't fast, but he got his bat through the zone fast. So, and he just doubles, homers. He had won a Triple Crown.
And his average always impressed me. Like, look at these stats right here.
And
look at this stretch, Tyler. And from 2009, this is the one I was looking at, from 2009 to 2015 in particular, these are his averages: 328, 344, 330, 348, 313, 330. I mean, that's just ridiculous right there, those averages to go along with those home run totals and stuff. That's just silly.
My dad reaped those rewards.
Oh, yes, he did. Your dad benefited quite well from those ones.
Look at those numbers when he was young, though. He had 339 when he was 23 years old.
I know, just a beast. I thought it was funny looking back at this All-Star year MVP when he finished 13th. Look at I just thought the names were funny that finished in the top 5. Pedroia, Morneau.
Man, Pedroia dominated that year.
But look at this one. Carlos Quentin finished 5th in MVP.
Quentin McCracken.
He finished 5th. Quentin in that one. Jermaine Dye also in that one as well. So here's my question to you with Cabrera. Who's better? Okay, I think these are the two guys it's going to come down to. And then we'll do maybe a little thing here. Cabrera or Pujols? Who do you feel like, if you had to choose, who's the guy you want? Is there one in particular that you choose over the other? I feel like
Pujols.
Are those the two guys?
I had Trout in there as well.
All right, so I'm going to say from 2000 on that. Let's just say like from 2000 on that are playing still, that have had a long career from that point on. Trout, you're right. He's in the mix, obviously. Those guys as well.
Pujols and Cabrera.
And who would you have? You would take Pujols first?
In their primes, I take Cabrera today.
Yeah, so in their prime, though, you're taking Pujols.
Yeah, prime Cardinals Pujols was unmatched, really.
Pujols came into the scene in 2001, and Cabrera 03, so pretty much the same time frame right now. They're both still playing, which is crazy as well. I don't know. They got to be, to me, the two guys that represent that 2000 to 2020 era more than anybody else. But I wanted to also kind of get your opinion on maybe two of the other best offensive players since 2000. You know, I'm going to pick a few based on just maybe I don't like this guy here or there. I think A-Rod's in the mix, obviously, but it's hard to pick him just with the steroid stuff and all that.
Yeah.
with Bonds. I have Manny on here. He's obviously in that steroid mix at all, but he was just so unreal to me. I have him in there. You got a couple other hitters in the top that you have as your kind of best hitters in the 2000s?
Yeah, I had Todd Helton like number 5, which you might not have.
No,
David Ortiz wasn't in it, but he's around there. Trout, obviously, I have in there. Vladimir Guerrero.
I got Ichiro in there for sure.
Ichiro's in there. Ichiro is just like he's gonna get a hit. And that's kind of how I did my list. It's not based on like your career. Like A-Rod, I didn't have in my top 5 because I felt like you could get him out so like easily at times. I did guys who I was like, this guy's gonna hit the ball hard in this situation just because that's who he is. Like,
these were his stats. Ichiro.
Oh God. His greatest rookie season of all time.
Yeah, his rookie year, he batted .350, he had 242 hits, 56 stolen bases. Just stupid. And then he began his impressive streak. He had 10 straight seasons of 200 hits and 300 batting average. I mean, in an era now where barely maybe the guy that wins the batting crown might not even bat 320. It's pretty crazy to think about. I don't know. I thought Ichiro. And a guy I have on here that you'll probably be shocked on is Jeter. I think
Jeter on there.
I think he
is one of those guys who gets hits.
Yeah, he gets a lot of hits, and he got a lot of clutch hits, and he got RBI. So he was on that list as well. And I've had David Ortiz, and I kind of I thought he was on the edge of it too. Was Joe Mauer for me?
Lance Berkman,
Lance the Pants. I thought he could have been on there as well. So those were some of my guys I thought were good hitters in the 2000s. Some good era of hitters there in those years there. So the Ichiro one though, to me it's Pujols, Cabrera, Ichiro. Those are the 3 guys if you're not going to keep A-Rod in the mix because of steroids. And then Manny's right there, but
Manny's right there with those 2 guys.
Yeah, I think I'd rather take Ichiro though, just for the overall player. I think that's the guy I go with in the offensive. Overall, not defense. I'm talking overall hitting ability.
I'm taking Manny. I might take Manny over Cabrera.
Yeah, you could say that.
You can't say there's a definitive answer like who you take there. Like, you're not wrong with either one.
Those would be my 3 guys. I think Manny would be 4 for me. That's how I have my list. I just saw Ichiro play too much. I saw a lot of.
What was the nickname you gave him when you were a teenager?
The bitch. That was his name. That's what he was, because he kept he hurt my team a lot. Next week we'll probably get into hopefully a little bit on Yadier. He's going to call it quits next year, so he's got some crazy stats as well. So why don't we take a little break here? We'll come back. We got some NFL questions. We'll get Brian on here with us, and then
Maybe back at it again.
All right, we'll be back. All right, we're back here. Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast, episode 50. What did I say, Tyler? 1, 2, 3? I don't know what else.
52.
52, you're right. Brian's with us again this week. We're going to go over the NFL. Next week, we'll have our NFL preview show. Looking forward to that. We'll go over the division winners more, MVPs, that type of stuff, just like we did last year. I think Casey said he might be able to join us for that one, so it'll be fun if he can join us for that one too, to kind of keep that tradition going with the prediction thing. So yeah,
I'm sure he'll talk about the Raiders.
Yeah, he might come out. I'm guessing the Browns will be one of his favorite picks again this year. That's usually who he goes with every year, it seems like. All right, so we thought for this
Brown
week,
flush it down.
Exactly. I thought for this week, our idea would be throw out some questions like we usually do around here, kind of get us ready for the NFL preview next week, and then we'll get it out of here. All right. So our assignment this week was come up with a few questions. You guys proposed them to me, so here they are. Tyler, your first question to the group was, what playoff team?
Non-playoff team
will not make the playoffs this year, or what team that was not in the playoffs last year will make it this year? So after I butchered that question completely, that's what it is. So what team did not make the playoffs in 2020 will make the playoffs in 2021? I'll let you get the first shot at it since your question.
Well, it's a pretty simple answer. It's got to be the Niners.
How about in the AFC?
AFC, I'm going with the Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to have a decent year. I think their offense is going to be good.
That would be a little
The Edwards receiver might have a breakout season. Look out for him.
Edwards? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. Brian, who you got?
I'm definitely going to go with the 49ers in the NFC, and then the AFC. I'm going to go with my dark horse, which would be the Chargers. I think they could make the playoffs if their quarterback takes, like, if he plays the way he did again this year. I'm saying he'll be one of the top quarterbacks in the AFC.
Brian?
Is he the closest as far as talented goes to Mahomes?
Yeah.
Simply put. Thank
you. Already? I would say Josh Allen's much more to him.
I think it's those three guys and Rodgers would be the four in a talent class to those.
And I know you love Josh Allen, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen's good, but I would say talent-wise that, Herbert, he's going to be really close to Mahomes.
Well, Brian, great minds think alike. I also wrote down the Chargers as the team I think will make the playoffs that did not last year. And then the NFC, I knew both you homers would pick the Niners. So I decided to be a little different and take my homer pick, the Cardinals. I think they'll be able to make the wild card this spot.
With Cliff Kingsbury.
I will say I do not have much confidence in Cliff. I'm hoping the talent will overdo it.
Yeah.
They made a lot of acquisitions. Brian, you made the point during the weekend at group text that if they don't make the playoffs, he's probably fired. I still think he gets maybe one more year, but I'm going to go with the Cardinals. That's who I think they're going to make the playoffs this year. So that's going to be my pick. Brian, I think you were, or no, I had the question of, I was wrong. Am I wrong for thinking Tampa Bay? There's no way they're going to win the Super Bowl again. I feel like they're so favored right now in my mind. Like, and to me, like there's always that love affair before the season starts, the team that won the championship the year before. And there's some years where I'm like, okay, this team is rebuilt again to win. Like there's like a momentum thing with it. And maybe I'll be completely wrong. Maybe this will be just like the Broncos and Brady wins again, like John Elway did back to back. But I just don't see Tampa Bay having that same success. I mean, they had basically a home game in the Super Bowl last year. I don't know. The NFC to me will be, the Niners should be back a little bit more. It just seems a little bit tougher to me this year. What do you guys think? Brian, we'll go with you first.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like everything worked out for Tampa Bay in the playoffs last year. Because I mean, the teams that they played were like, the Redskins on the road, and then
football team.
Then they played
like racial slurs.
Okay, they'll always be the Redskins to me.
Oh God, Brian!
Come on, that's not a real team name. Football team. Come on.
Well, I think it's one of the best names in football. Actually, I really enjoy it. I like it. I can't believe what you just said.
I'm saying the teams that they played they set up well for Tampa to win. So
yeah, I don't see it happening. Go ahead, T.
What do you mean they were set up?
So you think they're favored again then?
Yeah, absolutely. They're loaded. They have one of the best O lines and one of the best D lines and the best receivers. Why wouldn't they win?
I just feel like
Tom Brady's almost the worst part of their team.
But football's that sport where it's very hard to go back to back. There's usually like not the same edge. There's issues. I just don't see it happening. I'm gonna go out on a limb.
I mean, all Tom does is win. I picked the Chiefs in the Super Bowl and I look like an idiot.
Yes,
Tampa Bay, baby.
All right, I'm going without Tom. So that was my question. Brian, you kind of mentioned Newton being out this week with COVID a little bit. We talked. Do you think that opens the door? Officially, we've talked about it a few times, but all I keep hearing out of New England, unless it's just media being fed, is it just feels like Mac Jones is building more and more momentum at some point to take over for Newton. What do you guys think? Tyler, start with you this time.
Mac has the job. Cam's about to get cut if he does more COVID protocol mess ups and gets missed 5 practices.
Thank you for bringing that up.
That crap. Cam's
you.
almost gone. Mack's gonna start.
I wonder what Adam thinks about it. I'd be curious to get his thoughts on it. Maybe he'll.
I bet he's over Cam. I bet he's like, get him out of here.
He's been the whole time, right? Brian Adams has been pretty like I still think Cam's gonna start, but he is starting to love Mack, especially after that last game. We were getting a lot of texts about Mack love there with him. So
exactly. So
what do you think?
Comparing him to Tom Brady. Come on. He's
Adam's a Patriots fan. He's getting a little excited there. So do you think Jones takes the job then the first week too?
No, I say it's still Cam Newton's the win. I think they're going to go with him week 1.
How do you win it when you're not going to be at practice?
But he'll be there for this. He'll be back this week.
Yeah, exactly.
In the middle of the week.
That'll be interesting what happens with that one. Tyler, you also then asked the question of why did the Raiders retry to trade for Khalil Mack? I didn't read too much into it, so explain your thoughts on this.
What is John Gruden doing? How do you trade a guy because you don't want to pay him? And then he gets a record contract at the time, and he gets his lowest salary at the start of the contract, and then you're going to try and trade back to it for him because you need a pass rusher. You just figured this out. You've needed one since you've been there, Todd. Then you go, I'm going to call the Bears. They might give him back that. Like, while he's getting paid the most in his contract. I don't know. It just seems incompetent. But they might make the play. They're going to make the playoffs this year.
Weird thing with the Raiders too is I don't know how you think they're going to make the playoffs. I could never bet on them to make the playoffs. It could not happen. As much as I wanted to be a homer.
I just like their skill position players.
But they never have the heart skill position players, the linebackers, the quarterbacks, the safeties, the defensive line. They never have any of that stuff. And if they do, it's never together at the same time. To me, it's who's the guy the Raiders hired as the GM? Is it Mayock?
Yeah, it's Mayock.
Doesn't he just seem like a figurehead?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Gruden's really making the actual decisions.
I think Mayock's there to nerd out and do percentages, and then John Gruden says, that's stupid, or all right. Like, I think he just does like the smart person, like the mathematic analytical stuff for the Raiders. And then John Gruden takes that into account and does whatever the hell he wants.
I feel like based on what Tyler's saying, that the Raiders regret even trading Mack. They should have just given him an extension to begin with. I mean, I know they got a lot of picks for him, but
I mean, the best player they got out of those picks was only Josh Jacobs. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's obviously a good player, but like they didn't even like the guy from they've missed on a lot of picks. Let's just put it that way. Even the cornerback.
Everybody misses on picks. Like that's why picks.
When you have five, when you trade one of your best players who you know is good for all those picks, and you have a 2-year span to get them, you got to hit a couple of them, right? And Jacobs is a good hit, but to like make the trade even swing your way, you got to have more than one guy be, and he's not even as good as Khalil Mack. So, and I'm not even the biggest Khalil Mack fan in the sense of I feel like he's slightly overrated at times because he doesn't always get a consistent pass rush. Like I feel like a top guy should get. Like to me, Von Miller is way better than him. Like when they're at their peak, to me, it's not even close. Khalil Mack stops the run though. He does do that. So I'm with you. I think it's kind of it makes the Raiders look kind of tacky.
On pro football practice, on pro football, what's it called? Pro football
focus.
Focus.
Yeah, focus. He's
focus, Tyler.
Number one edge run stopper in the NFL every year.
Always number one. Brian, you had a question?
I feel like with those picks, I just want to end on this. I feel like with those picks, for some reason, they took a lot of Clemson players.
Well, they were in the national championship 2 of the last 3 years.
So.
And then they took Lightfoot, remember, this year from Alabama, the national champion as well. So they always like to go after the champs. They always go up Clemson and Alabama players. All right, Brian, what was your question you were going to ask?
I wanted to get into the Gardner Minshew trade to the Eagles. I feel like it's interesting because I guess they're giving the keys to Trevor Lawrence, and maybe it shows that the Eagles aren't totally in on Jalen, to be their number one quarterback.
Well, we have Tyler, you've been more vocal about the Eagles quarterback situation. I'll let you get first take at that one.
Well, I think Minshew's. I don't think they have faith in him staying healthy for 17 games is more.
Who's staying healthy?
They signed Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
I don't think they're worried about Minshew like taking over, but when you sign Joe Flacco as your backup, you're a little worried about who comes in to replace your athletic quarterback you built your playbook around. And Minshew is a little gives you a little more running and athleticism. What?
Was Nick Mullens on the Eagles there for a little bit?
Yeah, well, he got cut.
Yeah, he got cut.
The day after Savage sent a tweet to me, yeah, he got cut.
I saw that. I thought that was funny. Nick Mullens,
yeah,
Brian.
It's rough out there for having Nick Mullens on your team. You wanted Nick Mullens to start, you crazy son of a gun.
It's CJ Beathard.
Yeah.
At times he did, yeah. All right,
over Garoppolo.
I don't think it puts.
I mean,
go ahead, Brian, with the Minshew thing. Why do you think you think he takes over for Hurts or something?
I'm just feeling that maybe the Eagles aren't totally sold on him as, the franchise quarterback. So maybe you bring somebody in who has who can be a possible number one to, I guess, push him a little bit.
And he has the sachet to get at following.
But does anyone believe Minshew's a number one? Like,
no, he's not a number one. He's not a number one.
Well,
Hurts
just
is the
because he was
guy.
a number one on a shitty team doesn't mean he can go be a number one on another team.
Hurts is the guy. But I'm with you. I'm kind of our guy, like you said, Savage. He's really hyping the Hurts trade. I think he's just trying to convince himself of this thing too. But Hurts does have moments. I mean, he's definitely he's better than Minshew. I mean, come on, he's got to be. As much as we've had Minshew magic, he doesn't. He feels like a backup to a 22 or on a bad team starter. That's what you know what I mean, like a Trent Dilfer or something like that.
I mean, Hurts could be good, and he could be worse than Minshew. We don't know. But I'd like to see what Hurts did for a full season before I'm going to say I'm going to play Gardner Minshew.
Hurts has more potential at this point. Where you're
exactly. He's athletic. He can just do more.
All right, my last NFL thing here was Brian. I was looking at they had you're really into this, the top 100 right on NFL, and that's the players vote on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this week they revealed the top 10. I'm gonna give you guys the top 10. Let me know if any of these players you kind of disagree with or stand out or whatever. Josh Allen, number 10. TJ Watt, number 9. DeAndre Hopkins, 8. Tom Brady, 7. Devontae Adams, 6. Travis Kelce, 5. Derrick Henry, 4. Aaron Rodgers, 3. Aaron Donald, 2. Patrick Mahomes, 1. Is there anybody on that list that you think maybe got, I don't know, not should have been on there or shouldn't be in the top 10 or just whatever stood out to you? What do you think?
I'm replacing Tom with Tyreek Hill. I don't know how Tyreek Hill is not in the top 10, especially if it's for the last year.
I think Tyreek was 13.
I'm replaying. They can switch spots. Josh Allen is way higher.
You think Josh Allen should be higher than 10?
He should be like 2.
Is the list based on like last year's numbers? Is that how?
I didn't watch the show.
Yeah, they do it.
Yeah.
So the show's based on last year's numbers. The players vote on last year. So in 2020, the players voted Lamar Jackson the best player in the NFL. So yeah, they kind of changed.
Yeah. So that's probably why Kittle wasn't in the top 10 because he was injured all last year.
Yeah.
Okay. He's not a top 10 player.
But Kittle's not top 10.
He's right next to Kelsey. I would say he's the number 2 tight end.
Not as far as players he stats. Yeah, Kelsey is the greatest receiving tight end ever, as far as like the last 2 years.
Is Hopkins in the top 10?
Numbers.
Well, I'm saying Kittle is the number 2 tight end in the league right now.
But that's not a top 10 player. I'll put him at 18.
Oh, okay.
I think he's a great player.
What do you get? I think Hopkins is the one that's a little weird for me.
I don't. Hopkins is a beast.
You think he's done I don't know why. It doesn't feel like that.
He beat us in week 1 single-handedly.
He did do that to you guys. He did do that. He did beat the Bills on an interception.
Yeah, you want.
Donald, what do we think of Donald, number 2? It's
I
kind
mean,
of
the
a weird
players
one.
love him. He always finishes in the top 4.
It's a weird
every
one,
year.
the defensive tackle, right? Because you just don't see, like, he is there every
Yeah.
play. Because I'm sure if you're a real coach, you're like, all right, this guy's breaking up almost everything. Like, I guess
Yeah.
that's where he's like, you just don't see the flash part of it as much. I thought it was interesting. No linebacker. I mean, I guess TJ Watt's a linebacker, but no real linebacker was on the list. Kind of showed you that position's kind of it's changing.
Yeah, it's turning into almost another safety.
Yeah, and there's no safeties on the list as well. So, and only 3 quarterbacks. Oh, actually 4 because Rodgers too. So 4 quarterbacks still dominates that position as well. No running backs as well. So
What would you change about it?
I'm
putting Allen 2. I don't know, or 3, and Rodgers 2.
I don't think I have Hopkins in the top 10. I think I have him at 11 or something like that.
Who'd you put him in?
And they have Adams in there too. I'm not sure if Adams should be in there as well. I kind of like the defensive end from Cleveland. I think he should be in there. Garrett, he could probably make that list. And the guy, I don't know why I think this guy maybe should be ranked higher. I kind of agree with you on Hill, but I think Kamara should have been in there. And I don't know how to me, Russell Wilson's the top. Like, I'm taking him in the top 10 every time somewhere. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, this list realistically would be 10 quarterbacks. It was like most valuable.
Well, it's just like the best play. It's just like, again, the players vote on it and stuff like that. So, and to me, Jalen Ramsey at 13 was kind of a weird, 14 was kind of a weird one. What was he? No, 13. To me, that was kind of a head scratcher a little bit. I don't know.
Too high or too low?
Seemed too high to me.
So you'd put him at 20?
I mean,
I put him a little higher, yeah. Like 20. Like, yeah, I'd move him up. So that's what I got. Brian, real quick, we're going to get into this more next week. I think you'll maybe be joining us for the preview, but I want to get your thoughts in case we don't. Give me a quick MVP favorite you think going into this year.
I would definitely have to go with Mahomes.
Again, to repeat.
Mahomes and
I would say Mahomes. I would say Mahomes or Josh Allen.
You're right. Mahomes didn't repeat, but he. I guess when you get voted number 1, my mind went to thinking he was the MVP for a second there. So who do you got there? You said Mahomes and who else?
I would say Mahomes, or I could see Josh Allen maybe making a push for that.
A push for it. Yeah. I'm gonna go Jimmy G. No, I'm just kidding. We'll save ours for next week a little bit. Tyler, I got to get your thought before we get out of here, though, on the NFL segment. Trey Lance, you texted me during the week that you want him now to start. That is,
he's starting.
That is shocking.
It's not what he's done. It's what Jimmy's done. Jimmy just throws an interception every game, like every 4th drive. You can't turn the ball over. I thought Jimmy wouldn't turn it over, but he turns it over way too much. And then this training camp I read, he's found like it's training camp, I know, but he just looked worse. He turns it over all the time. And
what if he plays well tonight, though?
Then he might earn it back.
But you want Lance, though. That's what you're saying. You want Lance now. You're over.
Lance reminds me of Kaepernick, the way he throws the ball with a quicker release, though. It's just like a rocket. So he threw a post pattern to Richie James, I believe.
Yeah.
That was just ridiculous. I was like, holy smokes. That was a great throw. And it just, Garoppolo can't do it.
Ryan, I know you've been on the Lance train. And then you kind of went back to the Jimmy G train, though. So now where are you on it?
I mean, I felt like I saw that first drive from Jimmy G, and I could just tell he was going to have issues. And then they had that 3rd and 12. I was like, he's going to have an issue with this pass, and he sort of overthrew him, and it got picked off. And I guess that's Jimmy G in a nutshell.
Hey, do you guys, when you guys are watching him, does he just like kind of look nervous at times? Like, because remember, Tyler, I was listening back to an old podcast of ours, and one of the comments you made about Jimmy G was sometimes you just have to live with this is like 8 months ago too. You're like, he has like these really good games, but then you have to kind of live with these dead games once in a while. He has.
No.
Is he even having really good games anymore, though? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Not that I've seen. And he just doesn't have the arm. Anything outside the numbers is like a 20-80 ball almost. Like if it's anywhere downfield, it's just not. Doesn't have the arm, but he's a great backup.
That's why Shanahan wants to run it 500 times. That's what he wants to.
Exactly.
I would say the last.
Wanted Lance you brought up. Go ahead.
I would say the last good game Jimmy G had was in 2019 when we played Seattle on the road. He played really well in that game, but I haven't seen it since then.
Yeah, it's good in the first half of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was about it.
Yeah.
It got bad.
It got bad. All right, we'll be back next week with the NFL part of it. So Brian, thanks for joining us this week again, my man. Appreciate you answering some questions with us on the NFL. We're a week away now? We're getting close, 10 days, 11 days?
Yeah.
Taking that Thursday off. I love it.
Yeah.
What Cowboys at Bucks, right? First game of the year.
Yeah. I could see that being a blowout. Bucks like win 30-10 or something.
We didn't believe in the Bucks this year, boys.
I guess it's, do we believe less of the Cowboys? That's the question. All right, we'll be me and Tyler will be back to wrap up the podcast. Brian, we'll see you next week. Take it easy. All right, we're back with the last segment here on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. Thanks again for joining us. Be sure to check out some of the other good podcasts that we listen to. House of Hoops, Let's Be Real podcast. I found some other ones that I also am starting to enjoy as well. Tyler, I know you listen to some of the more a little bit more popular ones, but there are some funny ones out there, even the ones that are popular. It's just like everybody has one now, a lot of people, but if you just kind of occasionally listen, there's some really good content out there, and people do a really good job with it. So the Slump Buster podcast as well, they've been commenting on some of our videos lately, so wanted to shout them out as well before we get into this final segment here. And one of the segments we very rarely talk about, but we kind of found it interesting because, man, you do have a little passion for the sport. In some ways, just because we played it so much growing up, is soccer, or football. And
I grew up hated playing it. Also, I didn't even enjoy playing it.
You had a kind of a combination feel for it, I guess.
Yeah, playing goalie was just not fun when you're on a dominant.
It's not the same as playing other positions for sure.
Yeah.
So you wanted to get into some of the free agents this year. I guess we call them. What do they call them?
Well, not even transfers, and some of them were Messi ended up being a free agent, but
just no trades that go on when soccer players.
Or buyout. It's more, you trade money for a player, and sometimes they'll exchange another player with it to give less money. Very rarely that happens, though.
So Ronaldo this week, he signs back with Man United after 12 years. Messi was.
Let's start from the beginning.
Well, I just wanted to know real quick though before you get. I'll let you name the players. It's like, how does that work then? If you have a player that's like, let's just say Ronaldo go to another team, does that team he left get that money? That how does that work?
So Juventus owns the rights to Ronaldo, or did own the rights to Ronaldo, and he let them know, I want to leave, and they were like, okay, that's fine. So he went out, went to Man City. They were going to offer him a deal. And then he said, no, I'm going to go back to Man U where I started. All these quotes came out saying, I'll never play for Man City. I'll never play for Man City. I'm a Man United kid. And then he changed his mind and goes, okay, I'm going to go play for Man United. And so Man United has to pay Juventus. Ronaldo sees none of this money, a fee that was like 60 or I don't know, it was 33 or 63 million euros, which is like, I don't know, more dollars than what euros it is.
Yeah.
And Juventus sees all that money. Ronaldo doesn't get, now the rights of Ronaldo are with Man United, and Man United needs to give him a contract where he gets like 260,000 euros a week, which is just insane.
So basically, the team that they go to, that team has to buy out the rest of their contract from the previous team in a sense.
Yeah, but they're not even buy. The contract just goes away because he says, I don't want to play here anymore. Yeah, they just rip it.
Buy it up, but then the contract's ripped up, and they have to make a new one with the guy as well. So that's where it's like different.
Yeah, Man United comes up with a contract
where that contract kind of goes with the team usually. And soccer doesn't make a new one. So go on to some of the other players you were talking about that change.
Okay, so it started the beginning of this offseason. It starts with Messi. He says he's re-signing with Barcelona. He shows up to Barcelona to re-sign. He wants to be there. But they're in some tax hell or tax thing where they can't even sign him if they want to. So he has this press conference. So he can't sign back even if he wanted to. they have this press conference. He's crying, and he goes and plays at one of the larger clubs in the largest club in France, PSG, to team up back with Neymar and Mbappe. But then Mbappe says, "I don't want to play here anymore." He's coming off a missed penalty kick in the Euro final, so he's like, "I'm out of France. I can." And he signs with Real Madrid, which is another huge club.
Yeah.
And then Ronaldo goes to Man U. So you have Ronaldo, Mbappe, and Messi, the two greatest players, maybe of our generation, and
Maybe two
Ronaldo and Messi. Yeah, you could argue. And then Mbappe, who's the next, and there's a guy named Erling Haaland is just freak from Norway. He's built like a Viking and he flies.
Is that the guy I was talking about yesterday?
Yeah, the blonde guy, the huge guy.
Yeah.
Who plays for Dortmund, which is a smaller club or a medium-sized club that develops very good talent. Like they developed Robert Lewandowski, who plays for Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
They have a couple of guys from England who are going to end up on big clubs.
Yeah.
So this Haaland guy and Mbappe are the next, like Messi and Ronaldo is what they compare him to.
Yeah.
And they're both leaving in the same offseason. Maybe. Well, Haaland might stay. And it'd be like LeBron and Steph leaving the Warriors and Lakers, and like Luka and
Giannis.
Zion or Giannis. Yeah, one of those guys. All leaving in like the same offseason.
Well, does
Just
it really?
wild.
Yeah, that's crazy in soccer how they change like that. I would, for my sake, it'd be cool if more teams go to the Premier League because that's the one I watch the most. So I'm glad Ronaldo.
Yeah, it has the deepest amount of players per team. And
so to me, it's a little disappointing when it's like Messi goes to PSG or teams like that. I mean, I get why they're going to play in like the Champions League and stuff like that. They're almost guaranteed to. When in the Premier League, you're not always guaranteed. If you go to like Chelsea or something like that, the league's a lot deeper. So it's a little bit tougher. I think that's why some people go to those other countries more, I think.
Yeah, there's like two teams or one team that just dominate those leagues. Like Germany has one or two. Spain has two or three.
Yeah.
And France has one, literally.
And that's why the Premier League to me is a much better league. To me, it's the best league. Like you said, it's just deeper. It's like at least usually.
And it makes Ronaldo so much more interesting now because he's going to be facing tough competition every week.
Yeah, exactly. Opposed to like guys who's gonna just dominating basically for a lot of those goals.
Yeah,
over the years. Yeah, so that the part of soccer is a little bit different with that kind of stuff. The free agent part. I was always curious to how the money transferred, so I appreciate you clearing that up a little bit. Anybody else you see moving on that you thought would that's any big players?
Not this transfer. Next transfer.
How about the American guy? Do you think he'll end up moving, or do you think he'll be with Chelsea for a while? Pulisic?
Yeah, I think he'll be there for this year, and then after this year, who knows if one grows sour. Soccer is such a temperamental sport.
If he's smart, he won't go to the MLS though, right?
Now that'd be a dumb move.
Yeah, you want to play in the best league at that point. You don't want to go play. You don't want to play that.
It'd be bad for U.S. soccer if he came to the MLS.
Yeah, it'd be good if he stayed in the Premier League over there for sure. All right, well, it was good doing some soccer talk there. The really good players on the move, not just average players, the best players ever.
Great.
Like all-time greats there for sure. So, and soccer season is starting up. Premier League's already started up, so they're already 2 games in. So if you're interested in that, check it out. I'm coaching soccer now, so I got to start to learn. I was like, I've been doing basketball, so I was like, all right, what's that? What's the 6-yard box again? That I just had to figure out the corner. I was like, all right, I got to get my mind totally refocused a little bit here. So,
are they playing Beehive soccer right now?
That's probably what it will be. We were just kicking. We just had our first little get together, so we'll see what happens with it.
Stay wide.
Pray for me on that part of it for sure.
Yeah, good luck.
But yeah, good podcast this week. Enjoyed having Brian on again, doing some NFL. Looking forward to doing the NFL preview next week. When we meet next week, man, we'll be 3-4 days away from the first game. And then, as we know, it's pretty much NFL content for the most part from there on out, with a little baseball the rest of the way. So should be good. I'm looking forward to the NFL season.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
All right, my man. Have a good rest of the week. I'll talk to you soon.
You as well.
Later.